Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be a little different. This is going to be a video of all the accessories that I use for board gaming. I get a lot of questions every once in a while just about what sleeves I'm using, what are my playmats on, things like that. And I felt it was probably good to just have one kind of concise area to put everything, and I may update this periodically, maybe like once a year or something like that if anything changes. So let's just hop into it. I'm going to talk about what I think is the most important thing for me in board gaming, and that's going to be card sleeves. So I use GameGenic card sleeves. Particularly, I use the Prime sleeves. They're the gloss ones. So here is a good example. This is the kind of standard card size. This is what I use for Champions, for Legendary, for Arc Nova, for anything that uses kind of this normal card size. This is what I use. This is my go-to. I also use the Prime sleeves for the other sizes, so Mini European. I got some right here, so Mini European. I've got Standard American, although there's like 2 sleeves in there left. Standard European, things like that. That's what I use. If GameGenic makes a card sleeve, I will use it. And I use the Prime specifically because I like the gloss over the matte. I do have some examples of using the matte ones. So here are a container of the matte ones. So I have matte ones if they're colored backs. The main reason is just because this is what I ended up starting with when I was into kind of expanding my board game horizon. I used to use, so kind of take a step back, for Marvel Legendary for a long time I used Ultra Pro Black. And I didn't like how they felt after a while, and of course like you just like are sleeving this game and everything's in the same sleeve, so you kind of like keep going with it. And then a couple years ago, if you guys follow the channel, I did a big redo of my sleeves and re-sleeved the entire game to be the GameGenic sleeves. But I do have like some early games in my collection from a solo board gaming perspective, like Imperium, well, what else? Ares Expedition, Set a Watch. So those games I ended up getting different sleeves to accommodate those because I was like, oh, it's cool to have different color sleeves. But I run into the problem, and this is where my advice on sleeving would come into play, is if you damage a sleeve or get an expansion or whatever, you have to buy a whole new pack of that particular color. And so if they're out of stock or you're trying to find it, it ends up being kind of a problem to get those sleeves. So where I can, I've migrated to just doing all in this to the best of my ability. And that way, I have these on hand. I've got a ton of these on hand. And when I get a new game, I just can sleeve them. If a sleeve gets damaged or I get an expansion, I've got stuff set aside. I don't have to look for the blue ones or the gray ones or the red ones to like figure that out. I do like to sleeve stuff in a special way that will make me buy other sleeves. So I have, like, for Ares Expedition, each of the player colors, all the cards for each player, the backs of them are slightly different because each, like, the Martian astronauts all have different colors. I just sleeve those cards in their own color so I can look offhand, oh, like, that's the blue player's cards, that's the green player's cards. And then it makes it easy because then I have some extras of just random colors, and you guys seen that in Marvel Champions where, like, some of the cards that aren't put into the into either of the decks are their own color. I know that it'd be an environment card or some special ally that, like, once it's gone, it's put into a victory display, or a scheme that doesn't move. Basically that, or I've had for Marvel Legendary, I've got like the token cards from the X-Men set in different color sleeves, just so it's real easy to see. Oh, well, this is this, so I don't have to. It doesn't get shuffled in by mistake. So sleeves, probably the most important thing in my opinion for board gaming is GameGenic. Honestly, if I don't have sleeves for a game, I tend not to want to play it. So, like, that's been the biggest holdback for me playing both of these, because I don't have sleeves for them because they're a really wonky size. Although I am backing the like the deluxe upgrade for this, which comes with sleeves, and I bought extra sleeves for this from this for this because of the same sleeve size. So yeah, so that's the biggest thing. Some games don't, so GameGenic doesn't have sleeves for everything. So a good example of that would be Windmill Valley, and I think Pirates of Maracaibo. Both of them have like a weird sleeve size. So for those, I use Phantom sleeves. To me, they fit pretty well. They're very similar filling to these, but they have some different sizes that GameGenic doesn't have. So I'll go with the Phantom sleeves for those. And then I think I've used Mayday sleeves for Distilled. I think it was Distilled. I think it's Mayday I used for them, but Distilled has a different sleeve set because the sleeves that I would have used are slightly too big. The cards, like, I think a good example is like if you look at the West Kingdom and or what Garfield does with their cards, they're slightly too small for standard American. They work for the most part, but if you get so I think it's a similar thing with Distilled, where standard American and Gamegenic sleeves are slightly too big and they don't fit in the insert really well. So I think I got Mayday, which actually fit them, so I could fit them in the insert in there. So yeah, so 90-something% of my sleeves are Gamegenic Prime, and then I will fill in where I need to with other brands. But I look for like kind of premium sleeves because I don't like the feeling of the kind of cheaper ones. They just don't feel good to shuffle. I don't like shuffling cards without sleeves, so that's been like a big thing where like it just feels nice to shuffle. So Gamegenic is my sleeve of choice. And so yeah, let's just hop into the Legendary because that's got to be a big portion of this, and then we can kind of go into everything else. So for Legendary, big thing for me, it's just a 3-ring binder here. 3-ring binder, I use one of these for Champions as well, but this is really great because I just take these kind of file 3-ring holder things and just can put all the rules in here, and I can flip through here really easily to just check keywords, check some other kind of FAQ type things, and then I have it particularly organized by release date, so I kind of just know in the back of my head, oh, I'm trying to double check a rule on the Fantastic Four set. Well, it's closer to the beginning. Or if it's a new set, I know it's closer to the end. So that's how I have this organized by release date. But a big, huge thing is using one of these 3-ring binders for the rules for Legendary. I also have one for Champions where I put the Hero Pack stuff in those as well. That's just alphabetized because I'm just looking for a character if I need to see something. So yeah, so 3-ring binders are really great. I'll move my camera here, and this is my storage solution for Marvel Legendary. So it's a BCW kind of just card holder. You can buy these on their own, but then I bought this whole thing here. And, it just holds all the cards like so. I make these dividers, and so those are made by me, but I make those dividers, and then I've got the cards here, and then I just put a little tab on the front saying what teams are there, or if it's the masterminds, or if it's the villains, or whatever. And then that way I can just slide out, grab what I need, and get going. The one thing that isn't in here for Marvel Legendary is going to be this box. This is a Gamegenic box that contains. It's just a large deck box that contains all of my setup cards. So the first little tab here, or this here, is my starting deck, which you can kind of like. The rest of the starting cards are in one of the sleeves or one of the things there, but. My starting deck, my, are these like sidekicks? No, these are Master Strikes and Scheme Twists. This is Wound, no, not the Wounds, that's like sidekicks or officers, wounds, the other thing, and then bystanders. So that's just use setup cards, and grab this, grab what I need, grab a playmat from my playmat rack, and then grab what I need from here. I can just spin around, grab what I need, spin back around, and go. I used to have it like in a different part of my office, and so it's kind of cumbersome to get to, but now that it's right here, it's just really easy to get what I need and go. So that's what I use for that. I also use for my tokens. So you see a lot of random tokens here and there. So first off, I use these Gamegenic token holders. I love these things. I actually have them in like 4 other games. I have one for Champions. I have one for Shipwrights of Redux. I've got one for Oathsworn. I've got one for Mennefer. So I use these where I can. I love these things, and mainly because they're a great table container as well. So this is the extra large. Most of them I have are the size like this. But you guys have seen them on camera. So, you can put stuff in here, and then you just take these out and set them on the table, and then your components are in here. So I love, love, love this thing. It just makes it really easy to grab what I need. The main thing you guys see a lot are these spin down dice. So I use red for attack, green or yellow for recruit, and then I have some orange for piercing energy just in case. But these spin downs, you just follow the plus and minus sign, and it goes up and down. And these are from Burger Token. So Burger Token makes mostly those tokens, which we'll get into in a bit. But they started making these dice, and I love these dice. So I wanted to shout those out. So Burger Tokens for that. I have a variety of cards in here and other things. I don't remember the brand for these health dials. I'm not the biggest fan of them, and I may replace them with what do you call it? The health another health dial from by the same token. I may just get one of these for the masterminds. But anyway, these are kind of nice. They do their job. They're pretty cheap. I don't remember where I got them from, but they're just, you can Google or look up on Amazon health dials and you can find these things. These are just nice to keep track of attack for masterminds because stuff increases. And this came in a 2-pack, which is why I have 2 of them. I also have, this is a card. I just bought this off of eBay. I was just looking for a card with Thanos on it because this is for the Endgame ability from the MCU Infinity box set. Infinity Saga set, where Endgame is a game mechanic where you have to, after you have 8 cards or less in your deck, you're in Endgame and so, on the villain deck. And so I thought, well, I can just insert this above the 8th card. Once we get to this part, once this card comes out, we are at 8 cards or less. We know that we're in Endgame, and I just have this on the table to remember that ability. So it's just a card with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. I think it's a pretty appropriate card. I also have, this is just a Magic the Gathering, which I'm going to probably replace here in a bit. There's a Magic the Gathering, just some lands here. As you can see, they're just land cards for swamps and for plains, for sunlight and moonlight. It's another little thing I can just sit on top of the hero deck to remember, okay, it's sunlight. I remember that affects active. It's moonlight. I remember that affects active. And I put it on the hero deck because as you're drawing from the hero deck, you have to move this card. So it's an easy way to remember, I'm going to move this out of the way, refill it, and then reassess what the sunlight or moonlight status is. With the Spider-Man MTG set coming out, and they're going to have redos of the lands, I'll probably switch those to that because it'll fit for the Marvel theme. But yeah, these are just really pretty artwork, so that's why I picked these 2. I did have a Soul Rock and a Lunastone and Soul Rock, whatever, from Pokemon. I had those. And I was looking for a token, honestly, just like a coin or something, but this was a cheap option, and it's pretty. So I have that for that. I have just these little, like, eyeball dragon tier things. I don't remember what they're called, but you guys, if you grew up in the 90s, I mean, they may be now too, but if you grew up in the 90s and 80s, you know what these are. These little, just like smooth little whatevers. I just bought a big thing of these off Amazon for shards. So there, I keep 30 of them in here because for that what do you call it? The scheme, the Unite the Shard scheme, but then I never need 30 on a normal basis, so I have less than 30. Or I can just grab these and then use them for other stuff. So these are shards for me. And then I just have a variety of other little knickknacks in here. So I got this random coin. When I bought some stuff off Etsy. And I'm like, oh, it's a lion on it. And I don't really know what this other symbol is. It kind of looks like something from Dune. But I just use this as my Throne's Favor token. I did for a while have this Mesa Verde Cliff Palace as my Throne's Favor token, but it's just a little thing to denote Throne's Favor. I have this little Venom Funko Pop that's just for, there's the wedding scheme, so you've got to move somebody across, so that's all this is for, and it could be anything. I could even use this little Spider-Man, which I might stick in here just in case. So this little Spider-Man Lego, so just something to track a person. And then I've got this little, like, if I can pick it up out of here. I can't pick it up out of here. But it's just like a random little gem. That's actually a Mind Stone. It says Mind Stone on the back. But it's just a little gem I like using for the Baby Hope scheme, Capture Baby Hope. So just a little knick-knack there, here and there to kind of make that easier. But really the main star of this, of the spin downs, they just make it easy to track attack, track recruit, things like that. So that's what I use for Legendary. Those are all the little like components here and there that I use for Legendary. Let me get that kind of done up here. And actually, speaking of which, I just knocked over Link. Speaking of that, so behind me is a playmat rack. It's my playmat rack, but it's really a rack for vinyl, like the rolls of vinyl. So it fits perfectly. I am out of space on that. I have one spot left, but I've got 2 playmats right there next to Unstoppable, because I did get my second Unstoppable mat. So I may need to buy another one of those things and hang it on my closet doors here to store some more playmats, because I love playmats. So that's a playmat rack for that. It's a vinyl holder. And then I have some playmats that don't fit up there. For example, my Architects of the West Kingdom playmat. It's too long to fit up there. So I gotta re-roll this. I have these tubes here. And the nice thing about these tubes, I have it kind of taut right now, but these expand, and you can kind of tell off of this one that it's a little bit taller. This is like a 2-pack I bought. And that's a little bit taller, and it fits that. So this one's my Marvel Champions playmat, because obviously it's very big. I'll worry about this later. But this is what I put my Marvel Champions playmat in. And I just have these stored like behind my door, like just in the corner. So they're kind of out of the way. But Marvel Champions playmat and Architects of the West Kingdom playmat are right there. Let's move on to what did I just say? Marvel Champions. So Marvel Champions obviously contains a lot of cards, and so I've got these. These are not Gamegenic. I would have gone with Gamegenic, but these boxes for Gamegenic are very expensive. So I just bought this like generic brand off Amazon. I think it's about $28. And so this is what I hold my cards in. So I've got a box for all of the heroes. I've got a box for all of the deck building cards. I've got a box for all of the modular sets, and I've got a box for the villains or the scenarios. And what I do with the modulars, so basically, and they're just stored on that shelf over there. And basically what I do is they're kind of a 2x2 situation. So the back two are the hero stuff. And then so I'll make a deck and I'll put them in these boxes, and I'll store them with the modular sets. And so all I have to do is grab the modular sets and grab the villain box, and then I can do my playthroughs, and I have decks already ready to go. And I make all my dividers. They're not anything special, but I make all my dividers here. They're just little laminated deals here, just right to the top, and just laminate them. Although there's no Expert 3. I don't know why I wrote that there. But so I have these for the mod sets, and I have this for that. Also, what I use is, back to Burger Token, I use these deck boxes. These ones are nice. I use deck boxes in general when I can, if I don't have an insert for a game, because I don't like using plastic bags. I'll get to that point a little bit later. But these ones really nice because they fit in these really well, and so as opposed to like a normal deck box, like an upper deck box or whatever, they don't fit as well in here, I don't think. So I like using these. They're clear. I can just grab it and go, and they're cheap because there's a ton of them. But they're from Burger Token. They've got a ton of sizes. They fit sleeved and unsleeved cards. They're really nice. So I have like 4 or 5 decks that I'll have for champions, like one of each aspect, and then that's what I'll have sitting here. So like you can see right here, I've got from there. I also use, for Marvel Champions, I use these by the same token, health dials. I love these things. They're just expensive, and the shipping's a lot. But I think I bought these off of Etsy, so instead of buying them directly from by the same token. But these are great. So I've got one for the scenario and one for my hero because I play solo, so all I need is these. But these are really, really nice. Again, I've got one of these containers. It's one of the smaller ones, the Gamegenic, and all of my tokens are from Burger Token as well. So Burger Token, that's what they're kind of known for, are these tokens that you put a penny in between the top and the bottom, and that's kind of your token. And so I've got my threat tokens. I've got 2 sets of them. So the one set comes with a certain number of stun and confuses, a certain number of toughs, a certain number of generic counters, a certain number of acceleration and threat counters and damage counters. So I've got 2 sets of them. And then for my readies, because I don't tap the cards to show they're exhausted because it takes up more table space. So I have these little generic red counters to mark that a card is exhausted, and that way I just pick them all up when something's ready back up. I am, however, changing these out for by the same token ready and exhaust counters, so I'll have those at some point soon. But in the meantime, I have these as my exhaust tokens, but they'll all be Burger tokens here in a bit. So that's what I use for Marvel Champions. Really good. Really nice thing there. And then kind of just some generic things to fill things in. This is just a nice little dice tower. Sometimes I like using a dice tower, sometimes I like rolling in a dice tray. I found this off Amazon. It's nothing too crazy. It's just nice because it's see-through and it's wooden, so it looks really premium, but I think it's like $20, so it's not super expensive. This is totally unnecessary. I just like dropping them in here and just hearing the noises and stuff. So dice tower, nice little dice tower there, and it folds up. I have a dice tray, again, Gamegenic. So this is just a nice large dice tray. Again, don't always use this, just kind of depends what I'm feeling. But the nice thing about these is they magnetically click. So you kind of just, you can fold it up and put it in a game. If the game would warrant a dice tray and you wanted to have it in your game, you could, like if you're taking it somewhere, this folds up and basically is flat and doesn't take up any game space or box space. And then you just put it back on the table with the magnet. I have these here. These are Broken Token. I think they've had some controversy in the past, but Broken Token as a company has had controversy, but they do inserts, but they also do some of these card holders. I like these a lot for games that there's not a dedicated deck spot on the board and you have a big stack of cards. It's just nice to not have stuff fall over. So I'll use these for like Wingspan, for SETI, for things like that where it's just nice to have a nice organized discard and, sorry, my back itches, nice discard pile and draw deck pile that's kind of a big stack, and then that way it's not falling over. I've got two of these ones here. These are the mini, these are for like mini American or mini European card sizes. And these are just nice because, again, that's an awkward, like, I feel like it's an awkward, if you have a big fat stack of cards, it's kind of an awkward thing to leave on the table. Dune Imperium comes to mind, where this is really nice for Dune Imperium because it's a large stack of it's a large stack of the intrigue cards. So it's just like having them not fall over is really nice. And then these are nice too, as well as the bigger one is that these stack, so you're not losing surface area on your table, and you can just stack them up like that. I don't typically need to use two, but like Anachrony is a good example of having two of these, which is really nice. So I like these. Okay, so inserts. So I have here's a Great Western Trail, New Zealand for this example. But inserts, my go-to if the game doesn't come with an insert is Folded Space. So Folded Space, you guys probably know Folded Space. They do foam core inserts, so they're cheap. They are easy to put together. You just glue them and wait a while. And they're nice because they hold everything. Inserts are great for setup and teardown. So, for example, here with Great Western Trail, and actually the nice thing is that the Great Western Trail one works for all three of the games. So you look in here, it's not the prettiest because it's all this gray color, but they've been making a lot more new ones that are actually the colored of the game, so I like those a lot. But hold everything real nice, and then you can just take this out, and if you're playing with other people, hand this over to somebody and they've got all their parts. The money's in a container, so that's just set on the side of the board. I love these mostly for holding cards because I don't like using plastic sacks, plastic baggies in my board games, which we'll get to that point in a bit. So when there's like a thing to hold decks of cards, I love it because then it just makes it to where cards to me are the most pain in the butt thing for organizing. So if a Folded Space insert's available, most of the time I have it. I think I don't have it for a few of my games, but I should probably rectify that soon. But Folded Space is my big insert thing. If I don't have a Folded Space insert, I use these Bits Bins. So Bits Bins is a company that makes these, I think you might be able to read that there, Bits Bins. They make these like these holders for components. And you guys have seen these in my playthroughs as well. But they've got little ones, they've got medium ones, they've got large boxes, they've got these circle ones, they've got, I've got like all kinds of sizes that they've expanded out to. The standard kind of ones are these square ones. And I like these for player pieces, so you just have, here's your box of all your player pieces, I can just grab it and I've got all my pieces. I don't like using plastic bags. I just hate it. I think it's cumbersome. I hate dumping stuff out on the table, sorting through it, and then putting it back in the bag. I just don't like plastic bags. I just find them annoying. I find them very annoying. And especially when you're like having, here's a container of all the resources, here's a container of all the money, here's a container of this. So I can just put this on the table, plop it out, and I can pull out the resources as I need them, put them back in when I'm done, and it's just not, I don't have to pour them into another container to hold them from the plastic bag. And then something for me, and I don't know if you guys have this issue, but when I was using plastic bags and I'm like dumping a bunch of stuff out, not all the plastic bags, like I have certain ones that are for resources, certain ones for player pieces that are different sizes, and I'm like, I don't remember which one was which. I get confused. It's just more of a hassle than not. The only time I use a plastic bag is if there's going to be components in there I'm never going to use, and so I can ignore it. It's an easy identifier to say I don't even need to look at that bag because it's stuff I'm not even using. So for example, I don't have a folded space insert for Uprising, but Uprising has the 6-player stuff. I'm never going to use the 6-player stuff. So all the 6-player components are in a plastic bag. I know when I open that box up and I'm getting all my stuff out of it, I ignore the plastic baggie. I also use deck boxes, like I mentioned, but they're kind of more traditional deck boxes that are like the plastic that flip over, like a normal like one size, like that's like this. I use for a lot of my games that I don't have inserts. So Dune Imperium's another one where I have a bunch of those in there to hold all the cards, so that it's just easy for me to grab those because I don't want to use a plastic bag. So I think that's pretty much it. This is a Game Topper brand deal here. This is just a plain table that I bought for like $120 to $30, and then I have a game topper to fit over it so I can do my playthroughs. I don't have a traditional board game table, so this kind of emulates it to the best that needs to be. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else. I think I covered everything. All my shelves they're not Calyxes, but they're like the Target version of a Calyx basically. So it's a similar sizing. They're probably a little more, probably the same price. But these shelves are, all 4 of these big shelves are identical. They're just, I've got 2 brown ones, 2 white ones. I had to buy the one white one because it's all they had. And then when I was like rearranging my room, I bought a second one to put over there so that they match. But that's pretty much that. And I have another shelf down here that you guys can't see. Actually, I can show you. I have another shelf down there that is just another like shelf from Target that holds some smaller box games. But I think that's it. I think I've got everything. If there's anything else that I didn't mention in this video that I use for accessories, please let me know. But I think it covers everything. So if you guys ever need to know, you can refer to this video on what I use. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what accessories you guys use and where you get them from, and what I don't use that you do, and things like that. I'd be interested to know. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.